What's going on, Wes?
What's going on, Brian? Just sitting over here trying not to fry. Is it 1,000 degrees in Boston right now, like it is across the rest of the country?
It's not too bad. I had to go. I finally got rid of my Quest 2. Um, so I did have to leave the house today. I went to the post office to mail out my Quest 2. I made an even trade, Wes. What do you feel like an even trade for a Quest 2 would be?
I don't know. $50 and a pack of smokes.
Perfect. I got a backwards compatible PlayStation 3. So it's the one that launch mode that can play PS2 games. So I thought that was pretty
cool.
Fair.
Sure. Yeah.
It was hot.
You're not using it.
To answer your question, it was hot.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's really hot here right now.
No, it wasn't being used, and long gone are the days that developers are like, "Hey, we're launching on Quest 2 first. Can we send you a key for that?" So I said, "Fuck it, man. It's time to move on. It's time to get out the old, send it off, and get some even older in. Traded old technology for extremely old technology."
Yeah, and in 10 years, you'll be trading your Quest 10 for your Quest 2.
Oh, sweet. It's because Quest 2 will be so retro that I'll actually be interested in it again.
Right, exactly.
I love it. Perfect. Max in the chat says I was the winner of the trade. I fucking love it, man. That makes me feel really good. I feel like I did the right thing today. Let's start the show, dude.
Let's go.
This is PSVR Gamescast Live. We film live every single Monday, West Day, and Two Wise Friday right here on PSVR without Parole. We do it live 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. We do it live video format for your viewing pleasure. For all of you who like to listen with your eyes, for all of you who like to watch with your ears, we do it on podcast services of your choice. Thanks to our good friend Jamie, who uploads this thing on podcast services of your choice. If this show's too damn long for you, we get it. We're pretty tired by the end of it too. Don't you worry about a thing, baby. We have you covered. In fact, our friend Sci-Fi Game Cat Henry has you covered and puts timestamps into this thing later on at night. So if you don't like watching it live because it's too much talking, we get it. I talk way too much. My name is Brian Powell from this channel right here, PSVR Without Parole. And this gentleman over here to my left, your right, it's Wes Dillon from Virtual Strangers.
What's up, Brian?
What's up, Game Cats? So tired and over-caffeinated.
Yeah, no, you got some real AJ energy going on today, bro. It's like you're putting it out there. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, man. What's going on with you, dude? What's going on over on Virtual Strangers, guys? Of course, don't forget to subscribe to Wes and his friends that are VR agnostic over on Virtual Strangers. There's got to be lots of stuff happening outside of the PSVR2 verse, right?
Yeah, well, not really. There's not a whole lot going on in VR in general right now. We've got some stuff trickling in, and it's just how I like it, man. Because assuming I had time to play VR, I would be playing what I want to play right now, but I haven't been playing a lot of VR, honestly. I'm trying to find time to get in there and get some stuff done for this week's show. By the way, this week we're going to do the Room VR, A Dark Matter for PSVR 2.
Nice.
Yep.
And did you played that on PSVR 1 already, or on PC VR already?
I played it on PC. Yeah.
What were your impressions back then when it first came out?
I liked it. I like puzzle games. Especially ones that are story driven and have a little bit of a dark narrative and super high production values, and looking forward to getting back into it. It's been a while since I've played it. It's been long enough that the puzzles will be new again. So I'm looking forward to doing it again. I enjoyed it the first time around, and I expect I'll enjoy doing it a second time now.
Hell yeah. If you guys are interested in my personal review, look on the channel tomorrow, and I'll have a review ready for the launch of the PSVR 2 version. What else is happening, Wes? Before I rudely interrupted you, I know you had more to say.
I think we're going to do Tea for God this week. For those of you who are not familiar with Tea for God, it's one of these games that takes your room setup and builds the game procedurally around that. And the game kind of has you walking in circles in real life, although it doesn't feel like it in the game. In the game, it just feels like you're in a world and you keep moving. Using technological expertise and magics, and I've been looking forward to it for some time. It's been in early access for a while, but I've been waiting for a full release, and we are at that point now. And people have been telling me it's amazing. Try it out. It's like kind of like a mind-bending sci-fi narrative behind it, and I look forward to checking it out and talking about it this week.
Nice. Man, I haven't played T for God since like 2019, I think.
Yeah.
So
how weird is it that there's Quest games out there that you've played and I haven't?
Whoa. Crazy. Yeah, actually, I wouldn't have ever played it except for our good friend M, who came to the GameCat meetup in 2019, brought their Quest headset. Like back when people were like, oh, should I get a Quest? Yeah, before everyone was like, yes, you should. and they showed us T for God, which was crazy because it's funny because it was, like you said, it was really designed for people with a limited amount of space, don't have room for room scale. And so you kind of set the borders. You say, I've only got 3 feet by 3 feet to use, and it makes you feel like you're walking all over the place. But yet the place where I first tried it out, we had the GameCat meetup. The pre-party for that was at Dez's fencing club. And it was like the biggest space you could possibly imagine. And so this thing that was really designed to take advantage of small spaces, we were just able to now it's gigantic. It was really cool, man. Like you like the things it has you doing, like it puts you into elevators, and then you turn around and suddenly like you're walking out of windows and you're walking along like ledges of skyscrapers and shit. And you're just like, how am I? It's you have to really pay attention to find out how they're utilizing such a small space to make it work so effectively. It's very creative.
Yeah, here's what I think is going to happen with it, because since then they've put in an option for artificial locomotion. So I think I'm probably going to walk around in circles for about 30 minutes, and then I'm going to go get in my chair and flip the switch and play the rest of the game.
I mean, I don't want to pass judgment on something that I haven't played in 4 years, because I'm sure they've made plenty of updates, but I think the appeal to that game gets lost if you use artificial locomotion. But hey, I'm down to check it out. Oh wait, no, I'm not. I just sold my Quest.
Well, that could be a problem. Quest 3 is coming, Brian. You can catch up then.
Well, that's sort of what I promised myself. I was like, well, it's not like this is the end of my Quest days. I am absolutely picking up a Quest 3 when that launches. It's just sort of necessary to sort of like to know what's going on outside of the PSVR space.
Yep. Good practice.
Good practice. Yeah, I'm excited for the Room VR. I actually just re-downloaded it on my PlayStation. I've re-downloaded the PlayStation 4 version on my PlayStation 5 to do a side-by-side comparison. So that'll be interesting to check out. Very excited.
Yeah, and it is noted. We're not allowed to talk about the game yet. Embargo reasons, right. Typical thing. But what we are allowed to say is that it is a free upgrade. So if you already have the Room VR on your PlayStation 4, your PSVR 1, then just hang tight because you're about to get a free upgrade in just 2 days.
Right. And also what we're allowed to say is that the original game was really fucking good. And so take that for what it's worth. Okay, I'm just trying to fix everything. All the frames get screwed up when I reset this. Wes and I were talking about Welcome Back, Kotter before the show, and I can't shake this, Wes. I've got this burning question in my head. I don't know if you can answer it or if anyone in the chat can answer it. Obviously, there was Mr. Kotter, the teacher, right? Mm-hmm. And we even met Mr. Cotter's wife. She had a name. And then there was Vinny Barbarino, and
that's right.
And at least 3 other sweat hogs? Like they all had names. Did any of the girls in that class have names? Or were they just background characters that never said anything? I don't really remember.
Well, I'm sure that they did have names, but they were B characters. You probably had to be a fan of the show to know what their names were, like a real fan of the show. It was a different era, Brian. It was a much different era.
I was a huge fan of the show. That was something that my friends and I all got into in like junior high or like early high school. And yeah, they don't even call it junior high anymore, do they? That's how old I am, Wes. Is that people? I say junior high, and they're like,
it's called middle school now, I think.
Right. Middle school was only 5 and 6 when I was growing up. Elementary school was 1 through 4, and now it's all changed. I don't even know what the SAT scores are. If I told somebody I got a 1600 on my SAT, they'd be like, "You fucking dumb dude."
Yeah, I don't either. We didn't do SAT here. We did ACT.
Oh, we did those too. Which we just did those for fun though. They didn't count for anything.
I see.
This is what happens when you don't have too much to talk about. Wes, we've got a couple trailers to take a look at. We've got some new information about Wanderer, and then we're going to talk a lot about Crossfire Sierra Squad. So let's jump in with both feet. But if you're a diver, I guess it would be both hands. Did the pencil dive, so I just go feet first, or cannonball.
Cannonball. That's the way to go.
Hell yeah. Because it fucks with everybody around you.
That's right.
What's the name of this first game that we're checking out?
I believe the first game was a game that goes by the title of Rumble.
All right, and what we have shown here in this brown square below us is the early access trailer for Rumble. This has been kind of making the rounds on Twitter a bit today. It's a PvP game where you sort of you use the earth around you. You cast it forth from your hand. I don't know, dude. Like I have not done much investigating into this game, but there's got to be more to it than this trailer shows. Well, I hope there's more to it than this trailer shows. But people are getting a little bit excited about it on Twitter today. And when they asked the developers, "Is it coming to PSVR2?" They said, "Yes, absolutely, that is in the works." So, I mean, it has to be better than Wands, right?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd go that far, Brian, honestly. But I will say this game rocks. Shout out to Miles Dyer out there. So, yeah, I don't know about this, man. Like the trailer, I mean, even for the type of game it is, the action seemed kind of slow. And like it was the late stages of the trailer before the character even moved out of his space. Like I thought it was stationary there for a minute, and then at the end he kind of jumps over into his enemy space a little bit. So I don't know. Maybe it gets interesting. I like you hope that there's more going on here than what they're showing in the trailer. But if that's the case, they need to fire their trailer guy because. Yeah.
Well, this is probably not the latest trailer that they have. This is an early access trailer that they put out. Yeah, I'd be curious what else is going on here. It is interesting. Yeah, they do take a long time to really start moving. There's a lot of jumping throughout the course of this trailer, which is great. But then when he actually jumps toward his opponent, it made it seem like almost like a tennis game, right? Where there were boundaries between the two of you, and you just had to use these projectiles. But it seems like there's more than that. And I don't want to shit on this all day, Wes, so I think it's time to move on until we get more information. If you are the developer of Rumble, please give us more information about your game, because usually what I do, Wes, is I go over to the Steam store and I go look up these games and we go through the entire Steam store and read up on it. But the information on this game is not readily available, and we were running late today. So this is what you got.
It rocks.
That's what you got. It rocks. In which brings us to our next trailer that we're really desperately not going to try to make too much fun of here. But it's a game called PreMortal, and I woke up today to a press release of PreMortal in my inbox, and I was like, hey. Because they were listing like a Steam release and I don't know, some other headset releases, but no PlayStation VR, PSVR2 release. And so I emailed them back and said, hey, we only cover PSVR2 over here. Is this planned for PSVR2? They said, yes, it's coming to PSVR2, but it obviously will not come out alongside these other headsets. I'm a little concerned about this one too, because it looks like, Wes, Song in the Smoke, but not as good.
No, I mean it looks like, I mean, I guess on a very basic level, there are some comparisons here. Like they're both survival games. They're both outdoors. They both have animals,
both have crafting,
grass and trees. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a market here for this sort of game. There are people out there who love these sorts of things where you just basically, start with nothing and live off the land and kind of, make a life for yourself or die. So yeah, I mean, there's hunting. I mean, they check all of the boxes of a basic, survival game. Um, what I'd like to know is if there's more going on here. Like the reason why we love Song in the Smoke, or one of the reasons why we love Song in the Smoke, is because there's more to it than just surviving. There's the world that you're living in isn't your typical world. There's like spiritualism, mysticism going on. There are things happening at night that some people might even consider to be a bit spooky. There's more going on there than just the survival part of it. Which, by the way, the survival part of it's done in such a way that that's even fun, and that's coming from someone who doesn't typically like these sorts of games. So, I'd like to know if there's something more going on here, or if is this just a game that could be called survival VR?
Which, honestly, I think that's what they should have called Song in the Smoke, and it would have sold way more copies. Luckily, we do have a Steam page for PreMortal VR, and it gives us a lot more information than this trailer gives us, and it actually somewhat promising, I think I'd have to say. They say PreMortal VR is an exploration and survival game for single player, set in a procedurally generated world. Survive and explore the vast, unique world. Gather valuable resources, craft mighty weapons and armor, sculpt the landscape as you see fit, build villages and castles, prepare well for your trials and ascend beyond. Every new world is uniquely generated for the player. The terrain system makes sure there is complete variety in the generated foliage, structures, animals, and items. The ground itself can be terraformed using a shovel. The world is filled with usable resources like stone, wood, potatoes, copper, and so much more. The player has a few stats like health and stamina, which can be increased by the various foods in the game. Some of the food can be cooked for bonus stats. This isn't even the end of it, but already we're seeing that maybe this has a more primitive look to it, but it does seem like you're going to be able to interact with the environment more than something like, say, Song in the Smoke, right? You're going to be able, the fact that you can actually... This just brings to mind Populous. I'm sure there's better examples of terraforming the world, but being able to shovel, being able to build structures in an entire villages, castles, there's something here that goes a step beyond Song in the Smoke based on that description, because Song in the Smoke was a world that you lived in long enough to survive there and then finally move on to the next world. This seems like a place where you survive, and the longer you survive, you begin thriving. And I think that's something that Song in the Smoke, like if kind of missed out a little bit on, there was obviously a different goal in mind for that game.
Yeah, very different, right? And I feel like that, Song in the Smoke would have been a different game if other people were in it. There's something about the solitude in that game that I feel adds to the experience. With that said, I'm a totally introverted person and probably enjoy stuff like that a little more than others. But yeah, you're right. I mean, what they're describing here is something that's very detailed, and while it may look a little rough around the edges graphically, it seems like they have built a pretty deep gameplay progression here. So, yeah, again, there's an audience for this stuff for sure.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see how it translates, these sorts of games, how it translates to VR. Like, are people going to want to go into VR and build a village with a shovel? Time will tell.
Time will tell. And also time will tell, even more importantly, if anyone's going to care about this game after Green Hell launches. Because Green Hell, dude, as far as I know, Incuvo hasn't changed their projection for this game. They've been saying Q3 for quite a while, Q3 2023. And I don't know if you've been paying attention to the month, but we're almost in the last month of Q3 2023. They've been showing this off for a while now. So what do you think? You think this is going to make it out on time and then kind of make everybody forget about PreMortal?
I'm confident. I'm confident that this is either it's going to hit its window, or it won't be long thereafter. Because it feels that way. Like that they're becoming a little bit more active in social media, this sorts of things, putting out screenshots and things like that. And Incuvo is a quality team. They're pretty good about hitting their deadlines and putting out quality work. So I have faith in them. So yeah, I would, if I had to bet, I would bet that, yeah, it probably comes out next month sometime.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Because, there's just not enough games coming out in August.
Well, by next month, I actually meant September. I don't know. I'm in next week already, I guess. Then,
Oh, damn.
yeah, I think it'll be out in September sometime, most likely.
All right. Well, you won't hear me complaining if it doesn't make the Q3 release window because, damn, dude, August is stacked. And behind the scenes, we're actually hearing about it being even more stacked than people are aware. It's stackeder. So, not looking forward to the 3 reviews a week I'm going to have to do. But what are you going to do? Electrical Blast in the chat says Q3 ends after August. Yeah, it's January, February, March. That's Q1. April, May, June. That's Q2 because 12 months divided by 3 makes quarters of 3 months apiece. See? So it's June, July, August, September, October, November, December. I was also in the wrong month, Wes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Electrical Blast, for reminding me what month we were in and when Q3 ends. Yeah, so we have till the end of September, which is a full 2 months away. Right. Thank you.
Yeah,
I have been humbled. Which brings us. Obviously, we're all excited for Wander: The Fragments of Fate. It's obviously one of the bigger PSVR2 titles coming in 2024, at least one of the very few that's already been announced to be coming in 2024. And today they actually made me even more excited about it, if you can believe that. Did you happen to see the tweet that I'm talking about, Wes?
I did. It's intriguing, Brian. Like this, I want to know what this game's going to be. Like, obviously, they're iterating upon the original, and it's going to be different. I want to know how different it's going to be. And we've kind of had this ongoing conversation around, should they be charging an upgrade fee? How much should they be charging? And there are people out there who are saying this is a whole new game. Even if there's no upgrade path at all, that's fine. My question is, but is it? Obviously, there's going to be a lot different about it. I mean, if they're focusing on things like your in-game avatars and then what we're talking about here today, like it seems like this is very different stuff that wasn't really utilized at all or much in the first game at all.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that they're showing it right here in this trailer, how much climbing is involved, how much jumping is involved, the fact that you can swim now. I mean, these are game changing mechanics. Your feet were very much glued to the floor in the first iteration of this game, and then you would teleport whenever you wanted to go through a window or jump down a ledge. And so this gives you this full mobility and more interaction with the world. And the tweet that, I'm sorry, as everybody in the chat has already corrected us, what's a tweet? Said Dan Kiefer. Don't you mean an X? Indeed.
Yeah, did they change the terminology for, like, I thought it was still, they're still tweets, even though it's on the platform.
Yeah,
X.
They're still calling it tweets, but the platform, the logo has just changed to a giant X. So yeah, here let's blow this thing up here. They said, Wander: The Fragments of Fate coming 2024 tweeted, "We heard you, and apparently you like combat. That's why we added a whole new combat system to Wanderer: Threads of Fate." And they show this image of, which is very familiar to anybody who's played this game before, right? You got a fist in one hand and a super soaker in the other. And as my favorite response, it comes to us from Frontways. It says, yes, the the famous World War II versus Super Soaker battle. I remember reading all about that in history class once. Because this is during the World War II segment of the game, but they're basically saying there's a whole new combat system in the game. And I'm sorry, somehow when I looked at this earlier, I just saw a fist and a super soaker, but that's not it. There's a whole paddle involved there. I just saw it up on my screen. So a whole new, what do you think this whole new combat system is going to entail, Wes?
Yeah, that's the question, right? Because there is some limited combat in the original Wander, and it does serve to add a little variety to the game, and that's something I felt that they did a really good job of. taking what is basically, in essence, a puzzle adventure, but adding in some, sprinkling in some different gameplay elements here and there to keep the game fresh as you make your way through it. It seems like they're leaning into that a little bit more heavily now. So again, I wonder if this is just if they're just polishing up what they already had in this game, or if they're like literally remaking it so that the game focuses more on combat. That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, I definitely wonder that too. Obviously, they're not just adding, climbing and jumping, and then not giving you any reason to do it. And so, if they're revamping the combat system, they're obviously giving you reason to do it. These guys have basically had 2 years, or if not more, 2 years to go back in and change the essence of what Wanderer is. 2 years in the VR space is long enough to make a full-fledged game. So being afforded this amount of time to kind of just, I don't know, to achieve their full vision of Wanderer, somewhat of a godsend. I really do wonder who's behind all this, or if the sales of Wanderer were legitimately just that good enough for them to continue being able to do this.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people have forgotten about this game. This was our game of the year. Like it was really an exceptional game in its time and holds up even today. That's why I was kind of surprised to hear how far they're going with revamping it, what is already an incredible game. But yeah, I mean, you're right. It could just be very well that the developers are taking the opportunity to achieve their full vision for the first game.
Yeah.
And that's great, because that isn't something that you hear of often. Even with AAA companies, typically they have to scale back their vision to get their finished product out the door. So when you see a studio like this that's taking the opportunity to kind of go back and do it right, so to speak, that's exciting, especially coming from a studio like this that has already proven to be quite talented.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. I guess we'll have to be patient and wait till 2024 to know exactly what we're in for. But this is also the kind of thing where, and I hate saying this because things like this tweet make us get us excited for it, but I kind of want them to stop now, right? Because they showed us this whole new trailer. Right. They talked about all the different things that they're going to change over on the PlayStation blog, and now they're like putting out these smaller tweets. And I don't want there to not be any surprises left, right? Because for the people who haven't played it, this is all great news. It's all going to be new to them, and but for us, we know some of the puzzles, we know most of the places we're going to visit, and so there's not going to be a ton of surprises. And so anything else that they have, I kind of hope that they just go quiet on and say, well, we need to save some of the excitement for the people who've already played this.
You're right. 2024 is still quite some way away, so they probably should slow down, if not go radio silent for a few months, and start building hype when launches a little closer.
Double M Gaming with a $2 tip says, if Twitter is X, are Twitter videos X videos now?
I've seen some X videos on Twitter, though.
Hell yeah, I have. I'm always nervous because I'm like signed into the Without Parole account when I'm clicking on shit, and I'm like, don't accidentally like anything. It's going to show up in somebody's feed because Brian Paul clicked a heart on a porn video.
That's all it takes, man, is you look at one, out of pure like primal instinct, and now the AI has you forever. Yeah. And they know exactly how to rope you in, bro.
Like how you put that, pure primal instinct, like it's not actually my fault. That's how it makes it sound. It's my fault.
It's not your fault, Brian. It's chemicals. It's nature.
For anyone who doesn't know, Twitter's got great porn. Endeavor One is tapping out. He says, "Oh dear."
That's why West days are the best, bro.
West days are the best days, Wes. And today did not disappoint. Over on the PlayStation blog, we got an announcement from Smilegate Entertainment about one of the more anticipated games coming out next month, and that is, of course, Crossfire Sierra Squad. I want to point something out. Over on Twitter, don't tell him I said this. Okay, let's keep this just between us, everybody. Nathy tweeted a video that he got exclusive hands-on with Crossfire Sierra Squad. Now, I don't want to disappoint him because I like Nathan. However, Wes beat him to the punch. Here's the video of Wes playing Crossfire Sierra Squad months ago. So take that, Nathan. Suck it.
Suck it, Nathan.
Yeah, don't tell him I said that because I really do like Nathan. Dude, I love it. I actually had to search out this video in my download folder of you playing Crossfire Sierra Squad. What event was this at?
This was, I want to say, GDC, Game Developers Conference. That seems right.
Right on. And when was that? April?
That was March.
Whew. And you liked it, man, right? Like, I mean, like if anyone has any doubts about this game, like you went hands on with it 4 months ago and it was good then.
Yeah. I just, I made an emphasis then, and I'd like to reiterate now. This is a different game. It's a different shooter. This is more arcade style. A lot of times when people see such good like graphics and production value, they automatically assume that it's a simulation type game, and that's not what this is. This is an arcade style shooter with tons of enemies coming in and fast paced action. But yeah, you're right. I did like it. The production value alone was enough to make the experience worth my time.
Yeah, I do want to make everybody aware, in case they didn't know, that Without Parole is quoted over on the Steam page of Crossfire Sierra Squad. And I'm not doing this to toot my own horn because guess what? It has nothing to do with me. The quote actually reads, here it is, very, very polished military shooter for VR. And it's quoted as PSVR2 Without Parole. And when they messaged me asking me, hey, is it cool if we use that quote? And I was like, sure. Did I say that? And they said, no, Wes said it. And I said, perfect. Yeah. If Wes said it, it must be true. You can use the quote. And so
I have arrived.
So I think that's your first official Without Parole quote. It's your first box quote.
Awesome. Thank you, Fred. Shout out Fred, everyone. What's up, Fred? Thank you.
Yeah, Fred's a good dude.
He is.
So we haven't even gotten to the point at burying the lead as always here on Without Parole. The blog post that came out today revealed a release date of August 29th. And also, I don't think it was even listed in the blog post, but they also revealed the price over on Twitter, and that was $29.99. Fucking insane price as from what they've listed. They've talked about a full single player campaign. They've talked about 50 2-player co-op missions. They've talked about a horde mode that you can play with up to 4 players total. And it just sounds like there's a ton of content in this game. I think all of us were expecting, well, you tell me what you were expecting, Wes, because I wasn't expecting $30.
No, I wasn't expecting it to be a $60 game either. I was expecting it to be probably $40, $45, something like that. I think $30 is a great price for it, and yeah, a bit surprising to me as well. That's a lot of game for just $30.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely, $39.99 was my base. I was like, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be $40. That's just where it was in my head. And then, as we kept hearing more information, and as I saw Sony keep pushing this thing, I was like, okay, maybe if it launches at $49.99, right? Maybe it's a $50 game instead of a $40 game. Because look at the prices we've seen lately, Wes. Right. Operation Wolf was $30. Synapse was $35, right? There's definitely, those games were good in their own right for various reasons, but I think both of them were a little overpriced for what they were. So I just kind of got used to seeing these prices that were a little bit higher than expected. And then this one comes in at least $10 lower than I expected. And here I thought that was a good thing, but it freaked a lot of people out, Wes. Did you know that people freaked out when they saw the $30 price tag?
I've seen this before, Brian. Actually, it was quite a phenomenon. Back in the day, there was a game coming out for Oculus PC on Oculus Rift called Defector. And it was a very high quality game from a great studio. And they built hype for it for years. Beautiful game visually. Everyone was super hyped for it until the price tag came out. And that game was announced at $20 US. And at that time, it killed all hype for it.
Wow.
People lost all interest because they said, if this game is only $20, then there's no way it's as good as we thought that it was going to be. and it actually kind of flopped a little bit compared to what was expected of it after that. So, yeah, I've seen this before. So I find that reaction interesting because, for the record, Defector came out, and while it was a little bit short, like it was 5 or 6 hours long, something like that, it was like top quality. Even by today's standards, Defector's a great game. So yeah, I wouldn't panic too much, people. I can tell you, having played it, again, if you like fast-paced arcade-style shooters, you're going to dig it. It's really good. There's a wide variety of weapons, and there's just enough enemy variety, and the action is pretty intense. So I think people are going to like it, and this is a lot to do about nothing.
I mean, I hope you're 100% right. Cause yeah, I was ecstatic because we hear a lot of complaints about prices. We hear people say, I'm just going to wait for a sale when a game is like, an 8 or lower. Sometimes we hear that for a game that's rated much higher. And so I just feel like these guys are putting a lot of focus on day one sales, saying, hey, listen, like, we're going to price it at a point where you don't have to wait for a sale. Like, it's just going to be good from the get-go. We care about our player base. There's a big multiplayer focus here with all the co-op elements, and so we want that player base to be strong right from the get-go. So I've definitely got my fingers crossed, and I hope it turns out to be great. As far as the content's concerned, I think they said 13 single-player missions, like that's the campaign, and then 50 two-player co-op missions. And that number just is baffling to me, because even if those 50 missions end up being 5 minutes apiece, that's like still 5 hours of two-player co-op missions, and hopefully they're replayable. But I mean, I have no idea how long these missions are. Did you get any sense of what that's like based on your time with it?
So they let us play 2 chapters, or missions or whatever, and I don't know if what I played was, if the 2 were considered just one mission, or if there were actually 2. But I mean, it was one room. It was kind of like arena. The way the game's set up, it's kind of like you move into an area that's a pretty large arena, we'll call it, even though it's not technically an arena. It's like about that scale. And then enemies just keep running in and entering into it until you kill them all. And then you run out the exit in the back into the next one and lather, rinse, and repeat.
Okay.
But there were so many enemies in the thing. Like, it took a while to get through it. I mean, it was at least 5 or 10 minutes to get through one of these rooms. So, yeah, I think, even if it is just 5 minutes, you're right. I mean, it's going to be a lot of game. And for what it's worth, I'd be surprised if they didn't at some point make the main campaign co-op as well, because the whole game is squad based. There's 4 players on your team at all times. It's just AI. So I don't imagine it would be too difficult to kind of make the single player stuff into multiplayer.
Yeah. I mean, that was my hope. The second we found out that the entire game wasn't like 4-player co-op, I immediately messaged them and was like, hey, this is your hook. Like, this is the thing that Crossfire has going for it, that it sets it apart from all the other first-person shooters. And as we know, August is jam-packed. I mean, we already have Pavlov. We're getting Firewall Ultra. This is coming. Obviously, Alvo and D-Day Enhanced are both on the way. So like, but these guys have carved out their own little niche. It's how it's pronounced, you guys. Niche. They've carved out their own little niche that's arcade-focused and in co-op. And this is just not something that the other shooters are doing. Most of them don't even have campaigns. So I told him, I was like, this is something you kind of need to focus on if it's any way possible. Make the campaign 2-player, 4-player, whatever. They were nice. Fred was nice. He took the feedback and didn't call me a moron or tell me to go fuck myself, as I would have done probably if I was him. Be like, what do you know, kid? So. But yeah, it is still nice, though, regardless of everything else, regardless of the single-player campaign. It is nice that we have all these co-op missions involved here. 2 good points in the chat. Darth Vader with the $2 tip says $30 was an unexpected but welcomed one. Thank you very much, Vader. And then Looper, right below him, Looper, the underground game cat, said, the question is how repetitive those 50 missions will be. And if they are a lot like you're describing, Wes, if it's run into a room, everything becomes a wave shooter, and then run into the next room, everything becomes a wave shooter. It could be a little repetitive, but we'll have to see. I don't want to pass judgment quite yet.
There's certainly some danger of that. And again, there's a lot that I can't really speak to, because at the end of the day, I did just play 2 levels, you know. But with that said, I can tell you that their arsenal is large and varied, and there's a lot of potential just in working your way through that arsenal, because each weapon is so different and has such a different potential for destruction in this world, that just playing through the arsenal alone is going to be fun, and that's not to mention, you know, the levels themselves. Yeah. So I don't know what the like scope of the game is, or how the varied the levels or even the enemies are, but I know what was there was pretty good.
Nice. Well, I'm gonna try not to say things like keep your expectations in check.
No, people should definitely always keep their expectations in check.
Right.
So yeah.
Except for when it comes to Phasmophobia, my most anticipated game.
Madison. I'm looking forward to Madison.
Oh, yeah, I guess I was thinking about August games.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, man. There's too many good games on the way, I gotta say. I've got viewer takeover questions here. You ready for this one?
Sure.
Guys, do it. If you don't know how to leave a viewer takeover question, it's basically the way you can get your question on the show, and you don't have to pay anything. You don't have to tip us. We don't care if you tip us. We love your support, but we don't require it. Go over to our Discord, click the link in the description below, and join us over there. Go into the viewer takeover channel and leave your viewer takeover question. Like Rachel Gamecat 5863 did. I love that Rachel's Gamecat name is Rachel Gamecat 5863, like an inmate number of some kind. Like it's like this. She's doing this against her will. Sorry, Rachel. I'm sure that's not what you intended. Maybe it was. I have no idea. She writes hashtag viewer
bots.
Yeah, right. There weren't enough GameCat name changes, so we just hired a bunch of AI bots to become GameCats. It's all an illusion. Rachel says, if you could take any film IP and turn it into a PSVR2 game, what would it be? While you're thinking about it, Wes, she said, for me, it would be Jaws, the original one. Story-driven action, detective elements on land, plus things like clearing the beach, action on boats and in the water, and great characters, plus some survival horror. I don't think anything... Now that she's put Jaws in my head, I can't think of anything but Jaws.
Jaws would be... I don't know. I don't know how that would translate to a VR game, but it could be cool, I guess. I mean, there certainly could be some tense situations, right? For me, I've always wanted a proper video game adaptation of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and that was even before VR. There were some flat games that were kind of released around the movies when they came out, and the first one was really good. It was a nice story-driven. A story-driven adventure game that even contained some parts from the books that didn't make it into the movie. But then when the sequel came out, the Two Towers or whatever, it went from being an adventure game, story-driven adventure game, to a scenario-based like action game, which it was fun in its own right. But I still kind of wanted to, live through that story, so to speak, through the game. Yeah. And they never gave me that. So, I mean, it's kind of tough to pick just one, but that was kind of what popped in my mind when you asked me the question was, the Lord of the Rings trilogy. That would be epic to experience in VR.
So the chat is all over the Aliens thing. Obviously, Alien is a great franchise.
Yeah.
And they've had some great games over the year. Mostly, I mean, Alien Isolation is the one that pops out, and I would love that game in VR. I don't know what Survios is making. They're making more of an action horror game, so I don't have my hopes up too high for that. I mean, I would have to say, growing up, Wes, my favorite movie series was Indiana Jones. I discovered Indiana Jones through The Last Crusade. That was the newest one when I was old enough to watch those movies, and then I kind of worked my way backwards and watched Temple of Doom and then finally Raiders. And I just think, I mean, I don't know how this would translate, but having a whip that actually works well in VR, where you can whip something and then actually swing across a ravine or something on that, would that feeling translate? Would it work properly? Could you get the whip physics down and make it do the things you want to do? Maybe, but I mean, that's the original Uncharted right there. That's that in Tomb Raider is sort of what the Nathan Drake series is based on. So I would absolutely love Indiana Jones.
Yeah. Well, I had when I was a young boy, I had three favorite movies. One of them was Raiders of the Lost Ark. Absolutely loved it. Back to the Future.
Yes.
Which I think would make an amazing VR game as well.
All hoverboarding, baby. The whole game, just hoverboarding.
Yeah. And then Conan the Barbarian, which again would make an amazing VR game.
I'm gonna trump Conan and replace it with the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. That was one of my favorites. I probably wore through that VHS tape when I was a kid. Yeah, it's a good one.
I was into the cartoon. Like I was heavy into the cartoon. I thought I didn't really get it. I thought the movie was all right, but I didn't like super get into it or anything.
Oh, I couldn't believe how dark it was. And like I was 12-year-old Brian was like emo before emo was a thing, right? And I was watching that, I was like, Raphael's so depressed. He like laying in the bathtub. Couldn't believe he let Master Splinter get kidnapped. Like, it's like, I feel for you, buddy. I feel for you. What's the point in life? What is it? But yeah, I mean, but also Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles would make a great one too. Like, because I mean, anything that has hoverboards of any kind, and they had like their whatever their sewer boards were that were in the cartoon. Those had to have had a name. I just don't remember what they were.
That'll be the next title from In Dreams.
Oh, let's hope so. Well, let's see how Ghostbusters turns out, and then I'll say let's hope so. Orwando Cat, Kirnando Cat, with his level 3 membership goes whoop whoop. Appreciate you adding to the conversation, Orwando. Good stuff. We also have Silver Nexus with the $5 tip. Says, any recent updates about Journey to Foundation release date ideas? So if you follow Archaeact, or I think they actually have an official Journey to Foundation Twitter account now, or X account, and they do frequent devlogs and updates, and they talk about the characters. So they're trucking along over there, but for a game that has a 2023 release date, and the fact that we're already not quite near the end of Q3 as I thought we were, there's a lot of games with 2023 release dates that don't have anything more specified than that. Like we have 8, 9, 10, 11. I mean, some games get released in December, right? But it's mostly like by the end of November, like games try to get released by. We have like 4 solid months of game release left, maybe 4.5. And I could think of probably 20 games that all have just blanket 2023 release dates. And if for whatever reason haven't gotten any more specific than that. And Journey to Foundation is one of them. So I hope we hear more about it soon. Have you heard anything, Lex?
No more than you. You're right. They are. They're great about sharing, information about the game, about the story, its characters, the development, these sorts of things. It gives you the feeling like they're probably going to be one of the ones that actually hit their target.
An LA Noire VR style Blade Runner game. Blade Runner is just one of the best worlds, best atmospheres, best. It feels like, it doesn't feel like it was created for that movie. It feels like the director and all the actors stepped in to an already existing world. And to be able to exist in something like that, I mean, obviously Cyberpunk tried that, right? And it sounds like Cyberpunk actually got a lot better over the years, since it came out. So I'd probably be real happy with just that game in VR. But yeah, something a little more detective style like LA Noire in the setting of Blade Runner would be awesome. Super cool video, bro.
Basically, you want somebody to come along and add a story campaign into lo-fi.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm desperately hoping I'm desperately hoping that there is a story campaign in Lo-Fi, right? Because we don't know what the most recent updates to Lo-Fi have been. I don't know if the most recent updates have even been public for Lo-Fi. So I don't know if anybody really knows where Lo-Fi stands at this point, unless people do, and I'm just out of the loop.
I don't know. I mean, there's still. The world is becoming quite full in terms of atmosphere and things like that. It's always had going for it, but there's still not much there in terms of like, this is a game. I mean, there's some mini games and stuff in there, but I really don't. It's not going to be a traditional game. It's going to be. I describe it as the ultimate multiplayer world for one player.
I like the sound of that, I think. Somebody named Miles Dyer is in the chat with his level 2 membership. He says, have you seen the movie Constipation? Nope, because it hasn't come out yet.
I'm stripping him of his level 2 membership, Brian.
For real, dude. He should lose a level for every terrible pun. Orwando Cat, Kiernando Cat with the €100. Thank you very much for your generosity, sir. We love and appreciate you. It says, whoop whoop is poetry. I'll have you know. You're apparently just not sophisticated enough to truly appreciate a good whoop, whoop whoop. That's true.
You can't read this dude's name without me hearing AJ going off in my head. Orwando. You know.
Oh, you didn't finish? I was going to.
Orwando Cat. Kiernando Cat.
No! I mean, that's all I hear. It's just a soccer game. It's just the announcer. Yeah. Thank you very much, Orwando Cat. You're right. I've been told over and over I'm not sophisticated enough to understand the nuances of the more subtle world. Speaking of total lack of sophistication, Wes, it's time to play a little PSVR 20 questions. Are you ready to play?
I don't know. Probably.
You should probably say no, just warning you. Because
no,
because
I'm not ready.
AJ on Monday picked. Are you ready for this one? Did you watch Monday's show?
No, but I tuned in, like literally I tuned in as you guys were signing off, and Tiffany in the chat told me that I just missed a super deep cut.
Yeah. Do you want to know what it was?
What was it?
Neptune Flux.
Oh, God.
Right? How deep of a cut was that?
That's pretty deep. Like I recognize the title, and I can kind of almost visualize the cover art from seeing it on the store. Yep. But I've never played that, and there's no way in a million years I would ever guess a game like that during one of these.
I mean, I reviewed that game, and it was the first thing. Thank God we have people like Looper, the game cat, who keeps track of all these games, and he was able to say, not only was that not the first time Neptune Flux was picked, it's the second time it was picked. Wow. And also the second time that AJ picked it. The first time AJ picked it was the very first episode of 20 questions we ever did. Or the first time that AJ was allowed to pick for 20 questions. And so what I'm trying to tell you, Wes, and everybody in the chat, is that don't listen to AJ when he says he's trying to get me back for all my deep cuts. He started this shit with deep cuts, and I've been trying to get him back ever since. Don't listen to his nonsense. He's full of it. Just like Zach Lightning.
I mean, what a way to start with Neptune Flux.
Right?
Like, he was being competitive right off the bat, right?
I mean, competitive is not even the word for it. Just like stabbing me in the back the second I wasn't looking. That's how he started this shit off. Ridiculous.
So what I want to know is, where is our remaster for PSVR2 Neptune Flux?
I don't know, man. Like I actually really like Neptune Flux. I had a good time with it. It's only a couple hours long. But it tells a nice little story. The progression and your powers and everything increase as you go. It feels really good to play. It was fun to play. And I'm wondering, I think it was made by one dude, and I'm wondering if that one dude is still making games. I should really reach out to him and see if he's still around, because I would love a PSVR2 remaster of that game. And then people would complain and say, oh, why are we still getting games like this? It's 2023. I'd be like, but it's good. It's good. Trust me. Yeah.
Some of my favorite games come from some dude.
Right? Red Matter, 2 dudes. Separation,
Yeah.
1 dude. Good stuff.
Vertigo too.
Oh, right. Which I just have to trust you on. Which, by the way, I don't know if you saw, Vertigo 2 is on able to be wishlisted now on the PlayStation Store.
Nice.
So we're making our way toward
Everyone
it.
go wishlist it.
Everybody wishlisted.
2023, Brian.
Kill Artist, The Dreamweaver. I know, right? And like, when the hell in 2023? Also, New Motto. When the fuck is that coming? Happy Funland, Madison. All these games are 2023. But when, Perp? When? If only I knew somebody at Perp that could tell me.
Right.
Kill Artist 1, the Dreamweaver Game Cat with the $5 tip says, Brian, I'm still about 20,000 behind you on Switchback. Oh, second day playing, I am really getting Rush of Blood vibes. We need Rush of Blood now. Hell's motherfucking
Good luck
yeah.
catching up. How much Switchback have you played, Brian, since I've
done 2 runs total, and I only played for about 30 minutes to check out the update.
It's harder now. It is. Like, I'm not coming anywhere close to my previous high scores.
It's harder now. Well then, I'm gonna have to test out that little theory, Wes, and jump back in and see if I can match my old scores. Because I was sitting here gloating, being like, I did that in just a couple runs. Actually, no, what's funny is he's saying he's about 20,000 points behind me. That must be like on the first level or something, because I did play the first level like 3 or 4 times to beat other YouTubers' high scores. I don't know if you were on there or AJ or GT or whoever the fuck it was, but I was like, I need to beat their scores, like just for the first level. After that, I didn't care. And so that might be the score that I actually spent time working on. But yeah, I haven't tried to get a high score since the update, so I'll check that out and see if I can confirm your suspicion, Wes, that it's harder now.
Nope, never mind.
Good luck, Kill Artist. Good luck. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy VR, yes. Thankfully, Zach Lightning said something to redeem himself. All right, man. It is time to play 20 questions. Everybody in the chat, make sure you help out Wes. It's not going to be an easy one. So give him good questions. Give him good answers. I'm going to put 6 minutes up on the clock. You only have 20 yes or no questions to figure this shit out. Are you ready, Wes?
I am ready, Brian.
On your mark. Get Des. Go.
So is this game announced for PSVR2?
Yeah.
It is, okay. Has it released yet?
Yes. I see where you're going with that,
okay.
Because it could have been. Okay, I understand. Yep.
Yeah. Is this a good game, Brian? Wait. Is this game on our top 25 list? Or was it on any of our top 25 lists?
I'd have to check. If it was on any of our top 25 lists, it wouldn't have been near the top. I don't remember this even coming up for discussion. But it's one of those. It's a game that maybe could have fallen somewhere near the bottom of the top 25 list.
Sport multiplayer?
No.
Okay, so it's a PSVR2 game that's good-ish, but not great. Is it exclusive to PSVR2?
No. And what I mean by that is that it's also on other platforms.
Is it... I just burned a question pretty much is what you're telling me. Is this on... is it on like a non-Sony platforms? Is what
Yes.
I meant by that.
Yes.
All right, so it's
I'm not counting that as a question because that's what you were asking. Yes,
yeah.
It's on other non-Sony platforms. It's 5.
All right, so we have a decent game. It's good, not great. Wouldn't be. It's something that wasn't on. So. Is this a scary game, Brian?
Yes.
Okay. So people name off some mediocre scary games. Oh, I think Looper might have it. let's see here. Did this game have a notable bug at launch?
Yeah, very notable.
Yeah. Does this game have televisions that look like they're full of hamburger?
Oh, that's not what I was thinking they were full of, but yes.
Is this game Oregon Quarter, Brian?
This game is Oregon Quarter. Let's see. It came out January, February, March, April, May 7th, 2023, published by Amada. Very Silent Hill-like, in case someone hasn't played it out there. The notable bug Wes is talking about was made it impossible. You have to map the whole place yourself, right? Like the map fills in. You have to take it out. You have a physical map, but then you have markers that you stamp the map with, which are very similar to the markers that like Silent Hill would auto map for you back in the day. So you have to check a door. If it's locked, you take out a marker and you stamp that on the door, so you're not just wandering back and forth. However, every time you pulled out the map before it was fixed, the marker would get further and further and further and further and further away from your hand. So eventually you were trying to mark the map like this. The map as far out to the left as you could and the marker way back here. And it was impossible to play. You'd have to like reset it constantly. But other than that, it was actually a great game. And I need to re-review this one because I feel like I gave it a 6.5 because of all the bugs. Definitely deserving of a little bit higher now.
Yeah, I need to play it too. Yeah, I haven't played it yet on PSVR2, and largely for that reason, that the time that I actually had time allotted to play it, it was buggy, and I didn't want to play it like that.
Yeah.
I played it some on PC, and I enjoyed it for what it was worth. I didn't play like a lot of it, but I played a few hours, and I really enjoyed the weirdness factor of it. I like weird games, and this game has that in spades. So, yeah, I wouldn't mind finding an excuse and finding time to get back in there and check it out, especially now that it's out on our beloved PSVR2.
Yeah, I think easily a mid to high 7 at this point. Just definitely, I mean, for the right audience, I think you have to love the retro survival horror games. I think that people who are not familiar with that might not understand the appeal here and just kind of find it a little drawn out and repetitive. But if you really appreciate those older games, I think you'll really enjoy this. Macho Vasquez with the $2 tip says, sorry I'm late, guys. Here's my little daily tip. Thank you very much. He says love and pizza. Emily Baxter, the hashtag Cartoony Witch Game Kit with the $2 tip says, thanks for accepting my follow request, Brian. So because I sold my quest today, I had to get in there and factory reset it. But before I factory reset it, I saw that I had like 100 requests that I was just like, oh shit, I have not turned this thing on in a while. And I just said, accept, 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 accept. And I did see your name on there, Emily. So thank you to everybody who's been patient, has sent me a friend request on PlayStation, has sent me a request on Quest. I promise I'll get around to it. And anybody who sent me a personal message, and Wes, I'm sure you can identify with this. Anybody who sends me a personal message on like Patreon or Twitter or anywhere that literally isn't the comment section or in Discord, like places that I just live, I apologize for being horrible about getting back to you. Things have just been really, really busy lately, and I feel like I've been busy from the moment I get up to the moment I go to bed. So I apologize. Your messages are not being ignored. I do see them. I just want to give you the attention you deserve when I respond.
Yeah, I typically I'll see the ones that go into Twitter. I'll check those out. The ones that come to me in Discord, I won't reply to unless I know who you are. So if you're someone who's from the community or someone who leaves comments on YouTube, please let me know what your handle is and let me know that I know you, because I get so many messages on Discord from scammers, messages from Discords that I'm kind of an administrator on, and people are trying to just become friends with me just because of that. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of garbage on Twitter. So I typically tend to ignore DMs on Twitter unless it's somebody that I recognize. So if you are somebody I would recognize, and the same thing kind of goes for like friend requests on the like PlayStation. Like I don't just willy nilly accept every request I get. I at least vet it out and see if I have mutual friends, this sort of thing. So again, if you're someone who I would know and you have a different handle, say who you are. And anybody I know and can trust, I'm glad to be friends with. But there's so many scammers out there and just jerks in general. I don't just hit accept on everything that comes to my inbox.
Scammers. I just have people offering me money to do nothing. I don't know what you're talking about, scammers. It is ridiculous, man. For the longest while, my email addresses were pretty free of spam and scams, and that is no longer the case.
No more. No more, brother.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do? All right. It's time to get out of here, Wes. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on this beautiful, beautiful West Day. As always, we had awesome news to talk about because it's West Day and that's how shit works. We've got a crazy busy month coming up. We're going to do our absolute best to cover absolutely everything that we can. I think I'm going to have to bring live streams back because I haven't live streamed in a while. And obviously, the only way we're going to be able to get some first impression videos out there is to be able to live stream those and share those first moments with you guys. So look forward to a lot of great things coming up on the channel. Also, Real Optics. Just remember to send me a set of lenses. So now I have VR Rock, I have Hans VR, and I have Real Optics. So as soon as my room review is done, I'm going to get to work on comparing these three brands of VR lenses. Should be an interesting comparison. I really can't wait to find out which one I like the best because they're just going to stay on my headset. Wes, anything happening over on Virtual Strangers that we need to be aware of?
Nothing more than we already talked about. Although I will say we're nearing. So this week we'll be doing the Room VR and we'll be doing T for God and probably another game. I do think we're going to have a couple extra keys for the Room VR to give away. So everybody be sure to show up if you'd like to enter for those. And then next week I think is going to be time for everybody's favorite game of the month. So yeah, that's kind of what we've got going on in the short term.
What came out this month? Survive?
There was a lot of stuff that came out this month. I'm kind of drawing a blank on what exactly those were, but I mean there was a lot of stuff that came out earlier in the month. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't put the list together yet, so I don't know off the top of my head.
All good. Something to talk about next week.
Synapse came out this month.
Are you kidding me? Dude, Synapse feels like it came out like 3 months ago.
I know, right? Seems like forever ago, but no, that was this month.
Nice. All right, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you to everybody who helps keep this channel alive. Obviously, we had some amazing tips during the chat tonight. Thank you very much. People who support us financially also support us by being members here on YouTube and over on patreon.com/withoutparolegames. Thank you to everybody who helps the channel run behind the scenes, like all my amazing moderators. I love you so very much. Couldn't do this without you. Sci-Fi Gamecat Henry, J Meow, everybody who hangs out during the chat makes this entertaining for Wes and I to do. We like to be entertaining for you, but trust me, you make it entertaining for us. So thank you for being here in the chat. And of course, thank you to everybody who sits back and watches the show. Doesn't say a goddamn word. We know you're out there and we love you just as much. Happy Wednesday, Wes.
Happy Wednesday, Brian.
Let's go. All right, 2 things in the chat. Get in my belly, Game Cat Wilkins with the level 2 membership says, sleepy time she comes, night all. Well, you just cuddle up there in bed, Game Cat Wilkins, and I'll just make sure you've got a nice bottle of vodka to fall asleep with. Also, Macho Vasquez says, I wonder if the time it took for them to get to you will resemble the time they took to get to us, or will take to get to us. That may play a part in our choice. He's talking about the Real Optics lenses that, so that was, it's crazy, dude. It's crazy. Like, because it's the way he made it very clear that he had set something up for me, and and put me through the system in a different way than anybody else would go through it. And so, and it basically meant that it was on him, my contact over there, to like do the job and then send it out. And instead of just going straight to the lab like a normal order would, and then as soon as he realized that he made a mistake, it was here within a week. So I don't think that'll be the case. I think that it was a special situation for me personally. You interested in any
I'm
VR
interested
lenses? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't need glasses, or I don't know that I need glasses if I do.
I've made everyone paranoid, Wes. Everyone's paranoid. They're all like, I should get my eyes checked to see if VR will be better.
Well, it's getting, I have noticed it is getting a little bit more difficult to read the video titles on the screen when I'm lying in bed. So maybe it might be starting to go away a little bit. But I am interested to hear if there's any difference in these, or if they all just work, and interested to see if it affects like the eye tracking at all. Because I mean, they have to be very careful when they design these things, not to get in the way of any of those sensors or those IR blasters that are beaming light into your eyes. So that might be something else you might want to kind of test out, is go into the little eyeball thing and see how responsive it is, and if these lenses affect that at all.
For sure. What I need to figure out is why the fuck it's affecting my height in games with the Hans VR lenses. I'm not the only person that's had that problem. So I need to get in touch with them and find out if there's a solution for that, because that's something that I don't think anybody would have expected.
Is it making you taller or shorter?
No, I'm like 3.5 feet tall in Synapse.
Oh no, that's terrible.
Yeah,
I was thinking it would be like great if there were like real life glasses that made you taller, but they make you short. I mean, I guess there are use cases that would be pretty cool, but
yeah. McManus said, I got VR Optician. They're awesome. Not sure if you got those. Those are the one that I didn't get. I think I reached out to them. I didn't get a response. And so I said, you know what? I think three's enough. And Real Optics are the ones that most people said are like kind of cream of the crop. VR Rock are sort of like the most basic you can get. Hans is a nice middle of the road company. So I think those are the three I'm going to check. And unless I can get in touch with VR Optician like today. But all right, you guys, let's get out of here. Thank you again, Wes. And thank you, everybody. We love you so much. Have a great West Day.
bye.